All right, what's going on, everyone? Today is a special day. I got a text not too long ago saying the loaded Dangerous swim baits have finally arrived and they are available to you right now. So all you guys that have been asking, when is this thing gonna come out? When's this thing gonna come out? They're out right now. I just left my house here in a loaner truck. I mean, you guys have saw a couple weeks ago. I hit a hog one day, and then like 20 days later, I hit a deer in my Dodge Ram. So that thing's getting fixed right now. Gilchrist hooked me up with a loaner truck. The thing had like 6 miles on it when they handed it to me. So I'm really excited, not only for the truck, but this brand new swim bait. So let's go inside the Bass Mafia headquarters and let's see what the finished product looks like. Let's see some swim baits. Hey, when do these come in? Yes, yes, yes. I need these deep coffins. Deep diving crankbaits, swim baits. Yeah, I'm gonna need a couple pallets of these.
I'll go get John.
Yes. All right, Big John Worm, he manages this headquarters area here. He sets up the whole Bass Mafia corner, all the Guggen stuff, and he brought out some pizza. Look at that. I mean, too bad we just ate, because that looks absolutely amazing. And check out the hoodie he's rocking.
Oh, gotta go.
He's rocking the Zaldaingerous hoodie.
Yeah, we gotta name drop this. This is 575 in Little Elm. If you've never been there, man, go check it out. That's some.
Smell that.
That's killer.
Good stuff right there. Let's do 3 each, dude. I don't want to have to come back. Yeah. Oh yeah, brand new deep caskets, heck yes. So cool to see this brand Bass Mafia start out with a storage only offering. Now we got storage, we got lures, got all kinds of good stuff. Deep casket. Do we need to catch you a bass for this tank? We gotta get you a smallmouth. Like that,
yeah.
The smallmouth do really, or a spot, they do really well in these tanks.
Yeah, there's that
Sunfish.
It's a hybrid bluegill that I caught in the back creek where the boys are always fishing, but he's got ick on him right now.
Yeah, it is a hybrid, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's got a giant mouth.
He's a mean little bastard too. Those minnows have been in there like 3 months. I don't know how in the world they're still surviving, but they are. That place is packed in there, so.
In here, yeah, we're just getting boxes and
like
stuff.
a jungle gym.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of swim baits. Holy. Holy. Briefcases, bags. That's Rob's pontoon boat. He says no one ever uses. Sell me that shit. All right, here is the final production, the packaging, the everything. Oh, dude, thank you, JJ, I appreciate it. That is it right there. This is the very first time I've seen them in person, in my hand. I've seen photos, they texted me and things. I've seen a couple of the samples, but here it is, man. That is the loaded Dangerous swimmer that I know, I mean, I put all my heart, all my soul, literally blood, sweat, and tears into the development of this lure. And you know, it really is a unique swim bait category. The OG, I talked about like inline swim baits. Yes, they have their purpose. Yes, they catch a bunch of bass, but with this line through top hook design, it truly is one of a kind, unique. Let me go ahead and pull, am I allowed to pull these out? I don't know, but I'm gonna open this anyways. I know a guy. Oh, dude. That right there is the 6-inch Dangerous swim bait, and that's the light version. There's a heavy version and there's a light version. The heavy version works great at 15, 20 feet when they're out there in the summertime up on those ledges, those deep, long sloping points, whatever it is. Dude, I'm so excited. Like literally the production swim bait looks a lot better than the samples I've seen. Really, I mean, from the detail on the eyeballs, the gill plates, the fins, everything is just super, super concise, tight. Colors are awesome. But again, you know, you've seen the videos in the past of you know, how we develop this thing. Essentially, we have the weight on the bottom. We have this hook keep system in here, which is awesome. That right there is just a flipping hook. That's all that is right there. And you're able to detach it from the swim bait itself. You know, you get a nice good hook set and you hook them in the roof of the mouth or in the top of the mouth. That fish is going nowhere. And when it comes up to jump, I've had numerous times in the past where I'm just fishing a unloaded swim bait on a jig head. Sometimes those fish could jump, and literally just like a jig, you wouldn't think with a jig you get a good hook set. When that fish jumps, you think that you've got that fish. But a lot of times with these swim baits, since they're larger than normal lures, they use that weight and that leverage to shake their mouth at the surface, and there goes your swim bait. You just lost a fish of a lifetime. But with this design right here, once you peg them, once you stick them with that big giant flipping hook, the swim bait, all that weight, all that leverage swings up your line, and that right there is nothing but pure business right there. I mean, absolute giant flipping hook that sticks to the top of their mouth, and that's your fish right there. I mean, that's the fish of a lifetime right there. Man, I could sit here and talk about swim baits all day long, but really what I'm most excited about, and this was giving me a lot of trouble. I remember it was the middle of summertime, and we started with the original body, which is the original unloaded body. See how much thinner the unloaded body is compared to the loaded version? We started with this body right here, and essentially what we did was we put this weight and line through system in this original body, but it was a lot thinner. The body's so much thinner that I was getting a lot of rolling. So if I wanted to speed it up, whether it was down there in 15 feet of water with the heavy version or up there in 4 or 5 feet of water above that, those rip-rap rocks with the light version, when I would kill it, it would kind of fall on its side. So what we did was we basically made it kind of a triangular shape to where all that beef, all that belly is towards the bottom, and that keeps that hook point up. It keeps the head up, and it just gives it a more natural belly down, back up presentation. Again, those fish know that if it's a thin body and the weighting is off a little bit, that it's gonna fall on its side. So, you know, whether you're picking out a backlash or you're letting it fall down to where those fish are, you wanna make sure that it stays absolutely vertical upright, because you get a lot of bites as it's falling. So those little changes like that, I mean, from that thin body to that thicker belly, all those little changes take months and months to develop and to get to this point here. We must have went through 6, 7 different revisions on the swim bait to finally get this production right here. And it works from January all the way through December. Here we are in the off season, hanging out with the guys here. And I know I could tie this on right now and go to one of these local lakes and get a bite on this. It's not just a springtime bait like some of these other harness swim baits are. The beauty of the top hook line through is you could get it down to them in that 5, 6 feet, or you could get it down to them in that 15 plus feet of water and still get bites. You know, whether it's 80 degrees in the summertime or the water temperatures are, you know, low 50s, upper 40s, you could put this thing exactly where the fish are. And hey, with the introduction of forward-facing sonar, this is an awesome forward-facing sonar bait, where the original line throughs, the original bottom treble hook designs are a lot slower. You gotta wait sometimes minutes for this thing to fall down to where those suspended fish are. So, but with this design, the loaded version, it's an awesome forward-facing sonar bait because you could get it to them right now, right then, right there, put it right above their head, swim it through there, and when they eat it, I mean, that is just all business right there. Nothing but business with that hook right there. You know, holding the OG here, you know, I can't talk about a lot of these swim baits without, you know, mentioning and paying my respect to the OG. And I get a lot of comments and people saying, oh, you know, the Dangerous swim bait just looks like the OG. Well, you know, what I say to that is this fusiform shape right here, this elongated minnow shape, in my opinion, gives you the best hookup ratio, meaning that, you know, the taller you go, the more plastic you go, your hookup ratio falls significantly. So this fusiform shape is, you know, this could be a trout, this could be a baby bass, it could be an elongated shad, it could be a herring, but that fusiform long shape, in my opinion, in a swim bait is probably the best shape, not only for bites, but also for hookup. And then when you talk about the tail, you know, out of respect for the OG here, you know, if you look at the tails, they're completely different. This tail has a lot of shimmy to it. It gets a lot of bites. It promotes the head wiggle, but this kind of rounded triangular shaped tail, I purposely didn't put this style of tail on the Dangerous swim bait out of respect for the OG. I mean, let's face it, one thing that limits you with this style of tail, whether it's this OG swim bait here or some of the other triangular shaped swim bait tails, is it has a very, very tight window as far as the speed of the swim bait. So this style of tail doesn't necessarily like a very fast retrieve. It doesn't like a super slow retrieve. It likes just a kind of a medium slow retrieve that, you know, is optimal, that keeps that bait from swimming. When you speed up this style of tail, it really rolls that body to the left or to the right. And sometimes you get this kind of spinning motion. The other thing with this style of swim bait, and this goes for all of them, old school ospreys, this bottom style treble hook swim bait, is it's very line sensitive. And what I mean by that is if you go too heavy, 20-pound test, 25-pound test, you're down there on Lake Fork, Toledo Bend, it really restricts the movement. Enter the Dangerous Loaded. This is more of a classic boot tail swim bait design where you could fish it ultra slow or you could fish it really, really fast. And this style of tail, it really keeps that body from moving left or venturing off right or rolling. In my opinion, out of the 20 plus years I've been throwing swim baits, this kind of classic boot tail style of tail is the best all around. So when you mix that tail with that fusiform elongated shape, in my opinion, that is the winning combination. And trust me, I've tried them all. You start talking about some of the wedge tails and things like that, again, you're very limited. So one thing I really had to keep in mind as well when I'm going back and forth with the manufacturer is simply durability. I've had swim baits, you know, over the past couple decades where you catch a couple, you know, 6 to 8 pounders up there in Northern California, and then they'd be completely done. Whether it's the inline harness separating from the soft plastic, or, you know, the fins and tails ripping off, causing it to turn on its side or not swim correctly, durability was a huge thing for me. So when you talk about things like firmness, things like consistency with the plastic itself, I was really hard on the guys. Every time they'd send me a sample, I would, you know, pick it up and turn it on its side like this, and if the tail drooped too much, I would know hey, that's just too soft, it's not gonna last. And if it stood up and it was stiff like a corpse, obviously it was just too stiff and you'd have to run it really, really fast. So I found a nice little happy medium here with this consistency of plastic. And again, there's a lot of swim baits out there that are too soft or too hard, or they stink, they smell because of the paint on there. So I was really challenging the manufacturer over the last couple months here and say, hey, it can't be stinky, can't be too stiff, can't be too soft. We really thought about every single aspect of this swim bait, and having the finished product in front of me here today really makes me proud. And I know you guys are going to catch a lot of big fish on it. I've caught a lot of big ones, you know, 6-pound smallmouth, several 8 and 9-pound largemouth on this thing already, and it lasts. I mean, it lasts a long time, not only because of that inline line through design, but the materials and plastic that we use really is super durable. And it's something that, you know, when you purchase a swim bait, you know, you want that thing to last. You don't want it to be a one and done. You're paying $15 for a 6-inch swim bait. You want that thing to produce time and time again. Okay, so with this unique kind of one-of-a-kind inline harness, the hard plastic that has the lead molded in, basically the guts of this bait. Really cool thing here is we incorporated a magnet in there. Shout out to the OG. When, you know, that 5/0 flipping hook lays in there, it kind of snaps in place. So you know it's ready to do business when it snaps into that magnet, and it is not going anywhere until that fish tries to throw that bait, and the hook stays and the swim bait moves up the line. As you get it hung up in the rocks, we all have that buddy in the back of the boat who's dragging it or whatever. It gets it stuck in the rocks, rolls the hook point over or doles that hook point out. You could simply, you know, swap this 5/0 hook out and just go to your, you know, your little flipping box and grab your, you know, your favorite straight shank flipping hook, whether it's a 5/0 or a 6/0, depending on the brand. This is all made of steel. Steel is magnetic, so you could easily swap out the stock hook after you caught a few fish on it, bend it out, whatever it is, roll the hook point. Just go in your flipping box, grab a brand new 5/0 or 6/0 hook, feed your line back through, tie it straight to your favorite flipping hook, and just snap it right back in place, right where that magnet is, and you're back in business. And, you know, speaking of durability, I remember last year, you know, with one of the samples I had, the manufacturer actually set the harness a little too far forward towards the nose of the swim bait. And what that did was it essentially, you know, had the nose as just a small soft plastic membrane right in front of the harness itself. I was up there in Michigan. We were catching some giant smallmouth, and what was happening is the harness was actually blowing through the soft plastic after a couple, you know, 2 or 3 smallmouth catches. The harness was just going right through that soft plastic. So what I had them do was I had them offset that harness, and I brought the harness further back into the soft plastic body and basically got rid of that real thin soft membrane up front, and it basically made this a giant cushion up front. So when you're grinding it on those zebra mussels and shell bars and rocks and riprap banks, that's just a nice cushion up front there, and it provides a nice little pad. It's probably a 1/4 inch of soft plastic swim bait body in front of the hard plastic harness itself, creating a more durable swim bait. And again, that is huge when we want to catch, you know, we want to catch dozens of fish on these swim baits without it blowing out of the front or without the soft plastic ripping here. So when it comes to durability, we thought about everything. Wow, this is the Texas gizzard color, and we use that clear soft plastic body in this color. And this is actually the first time I've seen this harness design in the clear plastic. All the samples I've had, you know, in the last few weeks, last few months, they were a 3D printed white color. So now seeing the clear finished version, that is so natural looking. That is so cool. And they even inlaid the Bass Mafia logo on that hard plastic in there. If you look hard enough, you could see it. But just having that clear plastic, a non-3D printed production model like this, I mean, that turned out way better than I had imagined. That is so cool. And props to the manufacturer we used, because all the tolerances are super tight. You know, when they go to mold the soft plastic around that harness, that hard plastic harness right there, I mean, we're talking fractions of millimeters as far as tolerances go. Because again, you know, the two things I look for in a swim bait is realism. You know, how real does it look? Do the eyeballs look good? Do the gill plates look good? Does the detail in the face look good? And, you know, the colors, obviously, but detail and balance. If this thing is not balanced, you're simply not going to get the bite. So having a manufacturer that could nail those tolerances and make sure that that harness inside is exactly square in the middle and symmetrical with the overall soft plastic body, I mean, that is huge for balance. So detail and balance equals big fish and more bites. Another point worth mentioning, you know, with the loaded top hook versus, let's say, a line through like this here, not only are you restricted with the speed of retrieve with the line through or bottom treble hook harness style, you have to fish it slow, you have to keep it above their head, you cannot fish it on the bottom. One thing worth mentioning, you know, with the loaded version here, is it's super versatile in that you could fish it at the same depth and speed as an old school line through or bottom treble hook harness swim bait. So you could fish it above their heads, but also you could go ahead and kill it. You know, some of the best bites I've been on are middle of summer or late spring when the fish start relating to contours on the bottom. Again, with that flat belly, triangular shape, you know, you're allowed to fish this thing on the bottom as well as above their head. If you look at the balance with that flat belly, just think of this as the lake bottom. You know, you start to see them on forward-facing sonar or 2D sonar, whatever it is. Those smallmouth love hanging out in the rocks on the bottom. You know, you could get them to rise as you're swimming above their head. You could get them to rise and they could come up and eat it. But if they're being stubborn, they're stuck on the bottom after a cold front blows through or whatever it is, go ahead and let that thing sink down. Let it hit the bottom. You could go ahead and let it chill there just like a jig, and then give it a nice little pop and let it swim off the bottom. Drop it again, so you could almost fish it like an old school jig and get a lot more bites that way. And you know, previous to this designed swim bait, I mean, you simply couldn't do that with a bottom treble hook swim bait. I mean, if you let it hit the bottom, not only does it fall on its side, but you simply get stuck on the bottom a lot of the time. So whether it's, you know, the 7-inch harness or line through style or the OG here, you simply can't fish the bottom rocks effectively when they're hanging out down there without a design like that. So you know, we used to do it with just the old school, you know, 3/4 nasty looking lead jig heads, you know, and there's a time and a place for that as well. You could fish those on the bottom, but not as effectively as an internal weight with the top hook that actually disconnects when you need it to. All right. And there it is. There we have it. I could sit here and talk at this tabletop all day long, but I'm going to try to get out and do some fishing today, matter of fact. So, like I said, we touched on kind of how the loaded swim bait evolved. We talked about the unloaded a little bit. We compared it to some of the other swim baits out there. I'm really excited about this one. Like I said, we just drove to the office here. I live 30 minutes from where we're sitting right now. So this was the first look at the production version of the loaded Dangerous swim bait here, and I'm really excited about it. I know I'm going to catch a lot of big fish on tour this year and beyond. And let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If there's any color suggestions you guys like to see on some of your home lakes, if you have any other input that you guys like to add to the conversation down below, let me know. If you like this type of video, definitely let me know down below. If there's any questions or anything I could address, I will certainly do so. So the swim baits, they're available now. So all you guys in my DMs and in comment section, you know, you could stop asking when they're out, because boom, here we go. They actually turned out a lot better than I thought they would. All the tolerances, the colors, the shape, everything is perfected, and hopefully you guys appreciate the months and months and months of hard work I put into this thing. I know it's gonna put a lot of big fish in the boat for you guys. So until next time, thank you guys for watching, and enjoy the new loaded swim bait.